Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mind Your Mission. This is Erin and Liz. And today, last week we talked about real rest. And then this week we're going to talk about what does that mean when your life is genuinely busy? And we're asking the question, can life be busy and restful at the same time? So I'm excited to get into this. I think before we get into it, though, we wanted to do a mission debrief that we did last week. So I'll go first. So for my mission accomplished, I think something that went well is this week, me and my husband we were like, once a night, we're going to do a date night, which we didn't go out anywhere, but just once our son went to bed, we intentionally spent time together, and we got ice cream when our son was awake. So we did that, and that was fun to just carve out a night where we intentionally have conversation and spend more time together instead of just rapidly cleaning up, and doing the whole evening grind before work, but actually taking an evening to sit down and spend time with each other. So that was really good. And something else that has been good this week is I switched to doing more slow cooker meals that I'll put in the morning. And then in the evening, I just have to make steamed broccoli and make rice or pasta. And so that has been making my life a lot easier in the evenings because I don't like cooking. So it kind of cooks for me. And then it's all kind of soft. So then my son eats it too. So that has been good because then meal times are good for him and meal times are good for us. So it makes it a little bit less chaotic in the evening. Mission malfunction, something that went sideways. Yesterday, I just picked James up and I was gonna go. It was hot, so I didn't want to go on a walk. So I was go to Target, do something fun, just walk around. But of course, I get a duty call right as pulling in to pick him up, and I have to brief the captains, and it was a horrible brief because he's crying. I'm because Matt wasn't home yet, and then Matt comes home and Finn's barking, and I was so frazzled. It's fine, but I was just, and then it really ruined my night because I was that was just horrible. So I don't want to let stuff like that bother me and stress me out, which is something I learned is even if you don't do something perfectly or something doesn't work out the way you envisioned, to not let that ruin your whole evening and get you down. I just had to I feel a lot better today, but I just pull myself up out of that because I feel it really ruined my night last night, but it shouldn't have. Who cares? I did what I could. So, but yeah, that's my mission debrief. Do you want to share a little update, Erin?
Yeah, and those duty calls, when you're home, they're so hard. I think I had this vision of oh, duty from home, that's great. I find it way harder than just going in for watch or something like that, because it's just so hard to be present for both, and you just can't get things done as efficiently, which then is frustrating, but it's for a reason. So yeah, it's so tough. But let's see, something that went well this week and something that I learned, they kind of go together. And I knew this already. I just feel I have to relearn this lesson over and over. But I've been waking up at 5 a.m. again this week every day. And I think after Weston, I preached on the mountaintop, get up before your kids, have your quiet time, reset the house, whatever you need to do, have a moment alone. And I knew that was what I personally, I don't think every mom has to get up before their kids, but I knew that was what I personally was going to thrive with, is getting up before my kids. And so this week I was finally you know what? She's sleeping through the night. I have no excuse. We're going to do it. And sure enough, I did. And I don't feel tired. I don't feel burnt out. I just feel excited and I want more time in the morning. I just want to get up earlier. So that's been good. And just, I think I've relearned again that it's not necessarily when you do it, the time of day doesn't really matter, but it's the time with the Lord and the dedication to Him that really does make a difference and really does set your day up for success. And that ties into what's been hard this week. And this is just in general about the season we're in. Having two little kids, I don't have 2 under 2 anymore technically, but two and under, it's just a lot. And especially I feel every month it's a new hard, it's a new different, because at first a newborn was pretty easy, but then I'm recovering physically, and Weston has certain needs, and then now Haven is almost moving, which is gonna throw a whole nother wrench in the game. But then that'll also be helpful because she'll be more entertaining to Weston. And I know, I'm really hoping at least that I get to this point with two littles where I'm in the kitchen. And this might be something that doesn't happen for a long time, but I'm hoping there'll be a day when I'm in the kitchen and I'm wait, I haven't said anything or done anything. And then I look around the corner and they're happily playing together. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. I know that they're going to be really good friends and playmates, and they already are. Haven laughs way harder and more genuine with like about Weston than anything else. Like he doesn't even have to be doing anything, but she'll just like randomly crack up at him and I'm like, what is this? So they already have like a really good bond and they spend the most time with each other since like we go to work during the day. And so they're always together and they love each other. But there's also moments when like Weston accidentally kicks her in the face and she just has to deal with it. Or, their mealtime is fine, but it's just such an event, like with food on the floor from Haven. And Weston is like, I need to give him my full attention or else he's going to try to get up and walk away. Like there's just, this is the one moment in my life because I'm not a dog person, but it's the one moment I wish I had a dog because the floors are just constantly a mess. Anyway, so that's been hard, but I am optimistic about it. And just, yeah, do little kids is hard. And I think sometimes I see 2 under 2 on Instagram and they like have this perfectly aesthetic life and seem like they're thriving. And I'm like, it is hard. So just want to be honest, it's hard, but it's also such a blessing. And I can see how it's going to be so amazing long term, but it's just a lot. And especially when like Nolan's out of town and I'm doing bedtime for some reason, bedtime by myself, it's like way harder than any other time of the day by myself. Managing to, and that's just because they're both ready for bed and Weston has energy that needs to get out and it's particularly boy energy that needs to be like wrestled out and it's just harder to do that when I'm by myself. So fun stuff, but overall doing good and we have travels coming up, so I feel like I haven't like prepared for travels.
Same. We're going to town next week and I'm like, I haven't prepared at all.
Yeah, we're going to be gone for like 10 days and I'm like, I should probably like think about logistically an airplane with 2 little kids. And my mom will be with me, but Nolan won't. So I'm like, okay. So
yeah, same. I was like, we're leaving on Tuesday for Matt's sister's wedding. And I was like, I haven't prepared anything. And James is at the age where you kind of have to like, he eats a lot of like actual food now. So I'm like, well, how do I don't even know what to do with that because I don't know what we're going to have.
Yeah.
Anyways, in the plane, but the plane ride is short, so it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah. I'll figure that out later.
Yeah, I just ordered Weston off of Amazon a portable DVD player because I'm not an iPad. Like I'm not gonna do an iPad.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, we're gonna hopefully it even keeps him entertained. Honestly, like even that's hit or miss. But I'm like, we need something where he can't press buttons. Like I don't, because sometimes I use my laptop for like a movie on for him sometimes, but I'm like he'll be tempted to press the buttons if it's right in front of him. So I'm like, okay, we need a portable DVD player because I almost wish that their planes still had screens because it's like the one opportunity like where I
think a lot of them do, don't they?
Not all of them, especially not on. I don't know why the flights we've been on recently don't, because everything's on like your phone. Like you can use their app or whatever. So
the short flights I find I don't have a screen, but the long flights usually do. But I don't know.
I think to Washington, but we haven't. The last like our trip to Hawaii last year, there was no screens, and I'm like, come on, like I need something because again, if I'm not gonna give him my phone and my laptop. He would touch the buttons. Like I need something that's like up. So
yeah.
Anyway, we're figuring it out. Got some sticker books, some Play-Doh, lots of snacks.
Yeah. What do you bring for Haven to entertain her?
Well, I got her also some just fun little. I went to like this. It's called Mom's Organic Market. I finally found some like gluten-free, dairy-free, like easy stuff that she could actually eat that I don't have to like prep. And then I have those spinner toys, and then those books they look like normal books, but they're like indestructible. Like they're chewable and like they don't rip.
Yeah,
like those, she loves those books. And then I just usually hand her like random things. I'm trying to just have like a plan for every hour because 5 hours is a long time.
And this age is hard to like. It's like he's not going to sleep probably, but also he's hard to entertain.
Yeah, exactly.
If he wants to move around, he can't move around on a plane.
Right.
So, but my flight isn't long. But good luck to you.
Honestly, too, walking him up and down the aisle just to like look at people seems kind of weird, but like they'll just love being entertained just walking up and down, and people are usually friendly. So
yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of busy, let's dive into talking about the question, can life be busy and restful at the same time? Because the answer is yes, but I think sometimes, like we talked about last week, we misinterpret rest for other things, and the other things that we misinterpret it for aren't necessarily attainable in the midst of busy seasons, but true rest that we receive from the Lord is attainable. So let's talk about it. First, I wanted to mention the difference between being busy and hurried. So being busy, there's a lot happening. Hurried is that you're internally rushed, scattered, and unable to be present. So you can have a day that's busy, but it still feels peaceful. But a day where you're hurried, where you're where you're internally rushing through a lot of things, that's when it's harder to feel true rest. Liz, can you remember a day recently that either was busy and felt super not restful, or a day that was busy and you did find peace in?
I feel like the weekends, they feel busy, but they feel restful because I'm spending time with like people I enjoy spending time with and people I love. And I feel like I haven't really had a quiet day, but I feel like before I had my son, maybe like during maternity leave, like things were like pretty quiet. If I spent the whole day like on my phone or like watching shows, I would feel like mentally frantic, even though like I wasn't doing anything. Like really, I was at home all day. So I guess that's the difference between that. Whereas like I feel better when I'm like out of the house spending time with people, but there's like a balance there. Like you don't want to say yes to everything and not have any time like at home.
That's a really good contrast because like you can have really busy days that feel restful and you can have really slow days that feel hurried, or not even hurried, but like purposeless, and where your mind is spinning at the end of the day, even though you did nothing. And I feel like within having children, working, marriage, ministry, like any normal responsibilities, a slow life can be unrealistic. Like that's just like you got things to do. You got like responsibilities that God put in front of you that you have to attend to. But it's not that He's asking us to live hurried lives. Like they can be busy, but we don't have to live hurried within them. And I've seen this trend on Instagram recently where it's like you're doing a motherhood task and then it's like stopping and like you're letting your shoulders down and being like, oh, why am I rushed? Like I don't have to do this rush. Like I feel like we all are generally rushing through things that we don't necessarily have to rush through. And it's all about like our physical posture, one, but also just our mental posture and our spiritual posture.
Going off of that too, I feel like on social media, so many people like romanticize, the slow life. And as great as that sounds, like you said, it's just not totally realistic. But I think internally we can, like you were talking about, kind of live that like more slow, peaceful life. Like we can't control the things that go on around us and all the things we have on our plate for the most part, but we can control our reaction to it. And so that's a good reminder for me because I will rush like through things because I'm stressed or busy or whatever, but I can still be busy, but slow down when I'm doing things and like take more enjoyment in what I'm doing instead of just like trying to get to the next thing.
Right. Yeah. Busyness kind of describes the activity around us, while hurry describes the condition within us. And we can't always control the circumstances around us, but we can control our reaction and our internal state. And that's been something I've been really praying about recently, like with travels coming up and with just the normal everyday work mom life, is just being a peaceful presence, because I do really fully know that quote people talk about like how moms are you want to be the thermostat of your home and not the thermometer. Like you want to set the tone, set the temperature. Like I really do think that that's so true. Like whenever I am frazzled and busy and can't like find any peace throughout the day, then my kids are by and large like also feeling overstimulated and stressed out, and I can just like sense the energy in the room, even though like nothing, there's no reason we need to be stressed. I can just sense that they feel that. And I feel like a few of the practical ways I've been trying to find a rest throughout busy days is by really having a deep internal honest conversation with myself and asking like, are there pockets throughout the day that I could find rest where I'm not taking advantage of it for example, in the morning on my way to work, I tend to listen to podcasts. Like, I like to feel productive when I'm driving. But recently I realized that, like, that that in between time is really where I need to intentionally prepare for where I'm traveling to by not filling my brain. And so in the morning, I've been trying to, and it takes discipline for me, which is kind of sad, but I've been trying to, in the morning, spend some time worshiping the Lord and having that be like an extended part of my quiet time, which is really hard for me, like, to not fill that space, but I think through practicing that and putting a boundary on that, it's really helped, like, me internalize what's going on around me and what I'm preparing to walk into, and same thing when I come home from work. Like, sure, I can listen to a podcast for the first part of my drive, but if I go right from work to podcast to walking in the door, then, like, sure, of course, I'm gonna be bringing all the busyness of the day with me, and I'm gonna be bringing like, I'm not gonna have had time to, like, internally recap my day with the Lord in the car, and so I'm like, I just enter into the next thing and boom, 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 boom. So I've been trying to at least, like, 5 minutes before I get home, like, okay, turn off the podcast, either turn on some worship music or just sit in silence and think, like, let your brain wander. So that's, like, one pocket of, like, practical time that I've realized I don't have to fill. Another is, and I think a sign that you're, like, internally got too much going on, is I think you're reaching for your phone every opportunity that you can, and I think of the bathroom as, like, a prime example, and that's, like, embarrassing to admit, but, like, every single time I sit down to go to the bathroom, I grab my phone. Why? Like, I'm literally gonna be there 2 seconds most times, like, and if I'm gonna be there longer, still, I don't need to have my phone every time I go to the bathroom. So, I've just been trying to be honest with myself and recognize moments where, like, I literally don't have to fill that time, and it's gonna be better if I don't fill that.
That's very true because that's something I was thinking about in thinking about this episode, sort of like how can we create rest in like our days that are jam packed. And I think we talked about a lot of them. And the first one is like for me and you, it sounds like as well as just like that time in the morning that I get when like nobody's up. And that's like, so sometimes even though it sounds counterintuitive, waking up early gives me more rest than if I was to
Yes.
like sleep in and sleep more. Like waking up early allows me to have a second to myself, spend time with God, get everything prepped for the day. So you might think like, oh, sleeping in will give me rest, but I really get rest by waking up earlier. And another one is like you talked about, like having silence in the drives, which I need to be better about because I feel like I'm always listening to something to get through the drive, but really sitting in silence is like good. And I feel like we rarely do it anymore because yeah, I'm always reaching for my phone or I'm always listening to something to like when I'm doing a task or something like that. So I'm not saying every task needs to be like silent, but like intentionally doing that every once in a while. And then another thing too, I find is taking the time to like take a break and like eat lunch or like get outside for like a walk or something, which I'm bad about doing. But I think that really helps me for the rest. If I spend all day at my desk, like doing stuff, I feel mentally frantic, kind of like we talked about. So taking the time to like take a 15-minute break or something like that, just to reset. And then coming home too, driving in sounds like you talked about to prepare for the evening. And then the evenings are a grind. I really don't know. You get rest there, but moving through the evening slowly can be fun. And sometimes it's been too hot to like go for walks or and stuff. So sometimes we'll play in the splash pad outside and that's fun. And then, yeah, my time in the evening kind of also take a second to like read instead of like scrolling before bed. I feel like reading a book or something always makes me feel a little bit more restful than like scrolling and watching videos would, I guess. But those are just some ways that I feel like you can create rest in a busy schedule. And some days you might not be able to have that time before bed. You might be going straight to bedtime, but just trying to take some pockets of your day and like really rest and reflect and not always need to be like doing something.
Yeah, I agree with the middle of the day time too. Like, that's why I try to work out at lunch because one, my body needs to move and like not just be sedentary every hour of the day. But also to get outside and I try, I mean, sometimes I listen to podcasts while I work out, but that's also been a time recently where I've been able to let my brain like decompress. Like, I'm physically moving my body, so that feels good. But then also well, when I'm listening to music, I feel like I'm also able to sift through just, like, things throughout the day, and so having that time has been great, and really what it is, it's just leaving margin in our days and not jam-packing every single moment, because I think there's a difference between a full life and an overloaded life. Like a full life might include like meaningful responsibilities, but overcrowded, overloaded life just leaves no margin for anything other than your plan to happen. And I've realized that recently with my mom being here. Like sometimes I have every moment booked. Like I think I talked about this last week, where like I have every day booked, and if something sets me back, then I'm behind for the whole week. And that leaves no margin for like genuine conversations with my mom or my husband. And then it makes people feel neglected, because why wouldn't they when I'm like just rushing to the next thing? And it leaves no room for like other real life things to happen, like sickness or emotions or interruptions or relationships or just basic like health or care. Like it doesn't, when you have an overcrowded life, it doesn't leave room for like things to happen. And so we as a family have really enjoyed like having things on the calendar. Like we find that we do best when we have an organized structure for our week and for a month, so we know what's upcoming. But we also want to intentionally like have moments where we're not planning anything, because then real life can happen. And mostly it's the relational space, like leaving room for other people and then your time with the Lord.
No, that's a good point, because our lives are busy sometimes, but sometimes we do need to remove stuff to be a little bit more restful. And you kind of talked about some of the signs that things need to go. But another thing that I find when I am too busy, not sleeping well, like sleep is still important. Like I talked about waking up early, but I need to go to bed early to do that too. So you don't want to have like sleep deprivation. Like that's a sign that something probably needs to change in your life. Another one is constant irritability, which I tend to be pretty irritable when I'm stressed and overbooked and all that stuff. So that's a sign I probably need to like slow down and cut some things out. But you can't always cut things out. Like can't cut out duty, but trying not to let that affect me too much, I think is also important things. And so it's also important to like take a look at your life and be like, what needs to go? Which work can't really go right now, but in the future.
Yeah. One thing that I thought about was like, I feel like we often use the term like, oh, it's a very busy season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one sign that like something may need to go is if you've been calling it a busy season for years, and like you're just like, oh, I'm just in a busy season. And that can be true. Like there can be seasons for the grind, like where you're just like pedal to the metal, like this is like intentionally you and your husband have chosen, like whether it's financially or whatever, like this season is going to be a grind. But if that's like every single season, like that's every year, if that's gone on for multiple years, and like it's time, something's got to go. Just some real quick rapid fire ways, practical ways to have a busy life but a restful life are to decide priorities before opportunities appear. So whether that's at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of the month, like deciding what your priorities are. That way, if things come up, like you have a system of what you're going to say yes to and what you're going to say no to. And then you can also stop treating every task as equally urgent. Like sometimes when I start cleaning the house, I just realize how much needs to be cleaned, and like I see everything as needing to be done right away. But if I just like map out 3 things that I'd like to get to, then I don't get overwhelmed, and then I can stop there and be fine. Like we mentioned, building margin between commitments. So don't fill every single drive, don't fill every single moment that you go to the bathroom, like all those things. Like when you're waiting at an office, like for an appointment or something, try not scrolling on your phone, see what happens. And then other things are just doing one thing at a time and not trying to multitask. This goes with driving and listening to a podcast, but also other things like cleaning or like cooking, or I don't know, any other things that we multitask. Like just try doing one thing at a time, and that'll help you find rest within the busy seasons. And then just regularly reevaluate your commitments and make sure that the things that you're choosing to do, you're able to give your full effort to, because the Bible does say to work heartily unto the Lord. So the things that we say yes to, we want to do wholeheartedly and we want to give Him our best effort, but we just have to evaluate and make sure that we're saying yes to the things that God is calling us to, and that we're spending our time and prioritizing the way He asks us to in His Word. So it's a quick episode today, just talking about some practical ways to find rest in busy seasons. We are thankful for you guys for listening. Liz, do you have anything to wrap up this episode?
Stop scrolling all the time. That's my take. I feel like that really helps, but no, I don't have anything really.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all for listening. Make sure you give us a 5-star review if you like listening to this podcast. It really helps us out. And make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. We're trying to build engagement on that platform too. So with that, this has been Erin and Liz helping you mind your mission.